Hey guys, today I'm going to show you how to install SSH, OpenSSL, and Git in order to synchronize your Minix project to GitHub so that you can easily edit files on your desktop and not have to use the default text editors inside of Minix itself. So first and foremost, this is a fresh boot of Minix, and it has no commands that we need. We need Git, we need SSH, and we need OpenSSL for SSH to work, and we have none of those commands, except we have partial OpenSSL. Anyways, so we're going to go ahead and run the command package in sets. This installs all of our core tools that make things a lot easier for us. So it's going to go through and it's going to install all of our commands. I'll probably just sit here while this goes through. There's OpenSSH installing right there. We're going to go ahead and proceed by pressing Y and enter. We'll let that finish up real quickly. There's Git right there. Go ahead and proceed. A lot more packages than I remembered. My dog is crying in the background. All right, now that that's done, we should have some commands working. So we have Git and we have SSH. So now that we've done that, we need to actually be able to get into we need to be able to SSH into this desktop. So first we're going to get our IP. For most people, it's actually going to be sitting right there to the left of the text, the console enter there. But if you don't see that, you can run the command ifconfig, which is your interface config, and you'll see right there the IP 172.16.135.141. So now we'll come over here and we'll try this real quickly, and it usually won't work, but we'll run SSH root at 172.16.35.141. We run that, and it says connection refused. So first we need to actually boot up our SSH daemon, and you can run through and do it through the config files and find all of those fancy things, or simply, most of the time, you can just reboot, which this takes a second. It's going to reboot, and we're just going to go ahead and boot to normal Minix. And when this boots, it's going to generate all of our SSH keys. We're going to have to log in, the root. And now, if we come over here, we'll get something different. It's going to say, do you want to trust the authenticity of this host? Yes. And now it's just going to ask for a password. Well, we never set a password. And even if we actually do go in and we set a password, and I'm just going to make my password something super, super secure, like 1234566, which I just did. So now if we come over here and we enter our password, it says permission denied. This has to do with a bunch of permissions in the file system. So to keep things a little more simple, we can just create a new user. So we're going to use the command user add. We're going to add him to we're going to go ahead and create his home directory. We're going to add him to the group operators. And we're going to name it, I'm just going to name mine HC because nice and simple. Group operator. There we go, group operator. So now we have a new user, but we need to be able to access him because SSH is always going to want a password regardless. So we need to set a password for that user, and since we're root, we can go ahead and force a password on that. So I'm going to go ahead and run password on HC, and I'm going to change his password to 123456, 123456. Make your password whatever you so please. So now if we get out of here, so I can go over, I didn't mean to do that. Log back into root, 123456. Now if we come back over here, and instead of SSHing to root, we SSH to the user we just created, and we enter in our password, we're now in our box over here. Now, we can't do anything with our root user from HC, so if I try to do something here, typically it's not going to work. There's a few things you can do here and there. like I can list the files in the root directory. But in order to actually build the computer or the operating system and reboot and then boot into our recently built one, we have to do things as root. So we can use the command su, which is super user, and it's going to ask for our root user password, which for me is just 1234556. So now we are actually our root user now. And now we need to generate our SSH key for GitHub. So this is a simple link. I'll include this when I upload the video. So it's going to say open terminal, paste the text below, substituting GitHub for your email address. I'm also assuming that you already have a GitHub account. If not, you'll need to create a GitHub account or use a different sort of Git repository. I prefer GitHub. It's honestly the best in all circumstances. So it even tells us basically inch by inch of what to do. So we're going to do SSH. Also note that I am logged into my box, or into my virtual machine from here. I'm actually going to do things from here just so you guys don't get any ambiguity between this. So now we're going to go ahead and generate our SSH key using the SSH keygen command. I'm going to go ahead and pull this down a little bit so you can see the command a little bit better. Or I'm just going to pull this up a bit. There we go. So let's run SSH-keygen-B4096-C, and then the email you use to log into GitHub. Now it's going to generate our public-private key pair. So sometimes this may fail. If you just run it twice in a row, it should be good. We want it to go into our /root.ssh folder, so we just press enter. You can give it a passphrase, or you don't have to. I usually don't for this. Enter the same passphrase. If you don't put one, just do that. So now if we go into our .ssh folder here, we'll see we have an IDRSA and an IDRSA.pub. The IDRSA is your private key. For general practice sakes, you never touch that IDRSA file. The only one you actually touch is your IDRSA.pub. That's your public key. So we have to get this ID_RSA, so if we cat this IDRSA.pub key, we have to get this key into GitHub somehow. So we can't copy and paste due to the isolated environments that a virtual machine is. So we have the option to either type that out, which none of you are actually going to do because I'm not even going to do that, or since we have SSH access, if we go ahead and list, we now have a .ssh file over here. We can go to our .ssh, and then we can cat that IDRSA.pub, and we can now actually select and copy this with Command C on Macs. Windows users, it's going to be a little harder for you. And now we have to add our SSH agent. I know I kind of skipped a step here. Let's go ahead and let's run a reboot on this. Sometimes when it likes to set things up, it kind of messes things up on the other side of it. I should have lost connection over here, which I did because nothing is working. We're going to go ahead and start this in 2. There it goes. It just broke on my local. I'm going to log in as root. Password's 1234556. So now let's go ahead and try running our eval SSH agent-s. Now, there we go, it ran that time. So sometimes you just have to reboot. Now we go SSH add, let's add our IDRSA, identity added. So now we can get out of here. And now we add it to our GitHub account. So to add it to our GitHub account, we're going to go to our settings right here, and SSH and GPG keys, new SSH key. I just named mine Minix, but this is my other key, so I'm just going to name this Minix 2. We're going to come up here. This is the same private or public key, actually. We're going to paste that in here. We're going to add our SSH key. It'll ask you to log in. Not now. Ignore that. That's something else. So now if we go to cd/user, I'm actually going to do this in this terminal so that I can use my copy and paste to save me some time. So I cd or su 123456. If I cd2/user, if I do ls, I don't have my, I do have my source. I do have a source folder, but there's nothing in it. So I'm going to cd ... I'm going to rm-rf source. Now I'm going to come over here where I have my public repository. If I go to my, that's my Twitter. my Minix, if I go here and I do clone or download, use SSH, copy this, and I run git clone that, and then I do src. It's going to ask me if I want to trust the authenticity, which I do because that's me. And now it's going to pull the entire file system down, which takes a minute. So I had this nice little thing just happen to me where I actually don't have enough space on my VM, so everything kind of broke. So for the rest of this, I'm just going to show you that it works on my current virtual machine, which is right here. Ignore the yeah boy. So if I go to my cd/srs user source, and let's say I change a file, I'm just going to edit something on GitHub for simple sakes. I'm going to edit the. I'm actually just going to add a README real quickly. That'll do. Commit new file. So I have a new commit up here. Now if I come over to my virtual machine here and I do git pull, it will pull this file down. If I do git log, it says create readme.md at the top there. And if I do cat readme.md, that file that I just created is now there, which allows us to even edit stuff on our local machine with whatever your preferred file is, or file editor is, and you can commit those through terminal and just get those on your Minix installation to make things a lot easier. So thank you, and hope this helped you out.